Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news. And well, manager news show, because unless you've been living under a rock, Erik ten Hag was sacked. It was announced about 11:45 a.m. this morning by David Ornstein dropping the bomber that Erik ten Hag had been sacked as Manchester United manager. Ruben van Nistelrooy is coming in on an interim basis, but it's believed that Ruben van Nistelrooy is only going to be interim for 2 or 3 games. And actually, in fact, there is a manager that INEOS want to bring in mid-season to obviously, be Ten Hag's successor. They do not want to wait to the end of the season. The reason they didn't sack him earlier is because their ideal candidates were available at the end of the season. And now INEOS are going out, they're doing business, they're speaking to a couple managers about who's going to come in mid-season to replace Ten Hag. So we're going to talk about Ten Hag, what went down behind the scenes today. Ten Hag's just been spotted getting in a plane at the airport going back to the Netherlands. We're going to talk about some leaks, some player reactions. Obviously, David De Gea putting some interesting messages on his story and stuff like that, and some interesting player reactions from ex-players as well. We're going to talk about what went down this morning. We're going to talk about training tomorrow. We're going to talk about the game versus Leicester tomorrow. Ruben van Nistelrooy is going to speak out and do an interview tomorrow. We're going to get into all of that news. We've also got updates on Nagelsmann. We've got updates on INEOS' plans. We've got updates on Amorim, Xavi, Thomas Frank, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and more. But first of all, guys, before I get into the show and before I get into all of the news, I want you guys to tell me who you'd bring in. Like, who would you be bringing in right now? Now, the realistic candidates that we might be bringing in are Thomas Frank, Xavi, Nagelsmann, and Amorim. Out of those 4, Thomas Frank, Xavi, Nagelsmann, and Amorim, the 4 apparently people that we're looking to bring in mid-season, Thomas Frank, Xavi, Nagelsmann, or Amorim, who would you bring in? My pick, I'm not going to lie to you, probably would be Nagelsmann. I'm a big fan of Nagelsmann, but I'm interested to know your one down below. But let's get into the story. I don't think we get Inzaghi. I don't think we get Zidane. Someone said they want us to bring in Southgate, so I'm assuming you're not a Manchester United fan watching right now. A lot of people saying Nagelsmann, a couple of Amorims as well. So this is just news on sort of Ten Hag, and then we will get into news on particular manager candidates. A club source has described the decision to sack Erik ten Hag as a difficult and finely balanced decision, but a collective of unanimous ones. The new football structure believes there's no excuses for the current performances. And I think that's the point we're at. I think there was a point last season where we could make excuses that basically our whole squad was injured. We could make excuses this and that, because when we did actually have Martinez and Casemiro come back, we had that run of like 5 games in a row that we actually won, which was absolutely crazy. And then they all got injured again. So we could make excuses elements of last season, because when the whole squad was fit, like Manchester City FA Cup final, we actually produced something as well. And the new football structure now believes there's no excuses. There's no excuses to be 14th. He's had so much money spent. Yes, we've got no left back, but I don't think no Shaw and no Euro and no Mount really made a difference. There was no left backs. Yeah, but the injuries haven't been anywhere near as bad this season. There's been so much money spent. You look at teams that are a lot worse than us, doing a lot better than us. You look at the lack of progress, the lack of goals. And I think we're at a point where there was no excuses for Erik ten Hag, and it probably ultimately was time for him to go. The Muppeteers said that the board felt they gave Ten Hag the tools to succeed and the time to see improvement. Expectations were not through the roof, but a minimum upward trend was expected. Failing to improve upon last season removed doubts about the manager during the prior injury crisis. And I think, that's the thing. Have we got better than last season? No. Erik ten Hag said in his last interview for United that, we're going to turn it around like we did last season. What do you mean we turned it around? We came 8th last season. He's saying you're going to take us from 14th to 8th, and you think that's going to be a good season for United, finishing 8th place? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Finishing 8th place is a disgrace at Manchester United, and Ten Hag was saying I'm going to turn it around. Absolutely not. We were looking as bad as we were last season, despite the money being spent, despite less amounts of injuries. There was no excuse for Ten Hag. He was playing not to lose football. He said we played well versus Fenerbahce. We didn't play well versus Fenerbahce. We didn't. We had a good second half versus Brentford. We had a good first half versus West Ham. But ultimately, it's not been good enough. There's a reason we're 14th place, and that was mostly on Ten Hag. I don't think we would deserve to lose to West Ham. I actually think we did enough to beat West Ham, and I actually think that Ten Hag probably coached a win versus West Ham. But I think, and I wouldn't sack him based off that West Ham result, but if you look at it as a collective, the Tottenham game was the breaking point. The Tottenham game was absolutely the breaking point. Erik doesn't do himself any favours when he speaks. He doesn't do himself any favours. I don't think we'll get a new manager bounce because Ruud is already there. Well, Ruud's only going to expected to be manager for 2 or 3 games, a bit like Carrick was before we brought Ranić in. This is what's been said. Despite Ten Hag pointing to injuries and refereeing decisions, including West Ham's late winner on Sunday, there was a general belief that there could be no excuses for the poor start to the season. I think, look, I think there's been a few decisions go against us, a few injuries, but I still think we'd be in 10th if those decisions didn't go against us. If we had the luck, I still think we'd be in 10th, and 10th isn't where Man United should be. We should be at least in the top 6. I mean, Man United should be in the top 3 every season, no doubt about it. But the fact that, we're at a point where we're saying, oh, we'll take the top 6. What's happened to the standards of this club? That tells you everything you need to know when we're sitting there thinking, well, top 6 wouldn't be an awful finish because of how bad we are right now. If someone had said to us any other season, Man United will finish 6th, we say that's a disgrace. Just because things have gone so bad this season, if someone says to us we'll finish 6th now, someone will say, well, that's a lot better. Apparently, Ronaldo put something on his bye Baldy on his story. Is that true, or is that just fake for interactions and clicks? Apparently, Ronaldo made a joke about Ten Hag, but I'm assuming that's what Twitter accounts are saying, but I'm assuming that's someone making that up for clicks on Twitter as well. This is what I'm going to show you. And I think this is what INEOS will look at when they come to sacking Ten Hag. Look at this here. This is bad. XG differences while Erik Ten Hag was Manchester United manager. Man City plus 116, Arsenal plus 98, Liverpool plus 88, Tottenham plus 25, Chelsea plus 24. Man United's XG for Erik Ten Hag's reign of manager was minus numbers. That is saying that is a bottom half of the table performance. Minus numbers. That is a disgrace. It's just been said by Sky that some sources close to Ruben van Nistelrooy suggest he will not be viewing the job in a temporary capacity and will give everything to steer United in the right direction. He commands the dressing room and is held high, apparently. So there is reports saying that Ruben van Nistelrooy is only going to be in charge for 3 games, but Ruben van Nistelrooy is not going to act that way as well. Do you think Southgate will take the United job? I think he would, but I don't think United would give it to him. if I'm going to be totally honest. Anyway, let's get back into the news. Let's get back into the stories on the manager front as well. But I think Ruben van Nistelrooy is probably going to do a Carrick and manage a couple of games, and then I think he'll probably then step back as assistant. But continuing on, people, this was what's been said. So we're going to start with Nagelsmann, then we're going to get into the Amorim news, then we're going to get into Thomas Frank news, and then we're going to get into the Xavi news, because there's a lot of news about the managers that we need to get into. But I want to start with Nagelsmann. Now, Nagelsmann, from what I've heard, is who INEOS want. Now, I said in a live show last night, there was a couple people I trust. United Nab was one of them that came out and said that this is the first time he's heard that INEOS are seriously considering sacking Ten Hag. He's not been, and I said there's a couple people in the space, 1 or 2 of them which I've spoken to before, and we obviously showed what United Nad tweeted yesterday, that last night there was a couple of people saying that who's never said anything about Ten Hag getting sacked before, because we're so used to journalists saying Ten Hag's getting sacked every week, but these weren't. And these people were saying they think he could go. And then he's gone today. Now, some other people I've spoken to that were not mentioned yesterday, who also said the same thing to me in private, have said to me, Nagelsmann, I think, is who INEOS want, but they don't think Nagelsmann will leave. That's what I've been told. That right now, if INEOS could choose who they brought in, it'd be Nagelsmann. That's what I've heard from people. That's who I want. But there's a feeling that he would want to manage Germany in the World Cup and wouldn't go, because Man United approached Nagelsmann in the summer and he said no. It would be difficult to get, but I think if they could choose, they'd go with Nagelsmann. Based off what I've been told, Vivel likes him, Ashraf likes him, and more. So let's have a look at the news on Nagelsmann from other sources. So I can't reveal what I've been told privately. Well, I have revealed what I've been told privately. I can't reveal the sources of that, but I can reveal what's been said publicly, and this is this. Manchester United have shown recent interest in Germany coach Julian Nagelsmann, according to Alex Crook. Manchester United are going to try their luck and approach Julian Nagelsmann. United wanted to only sack Ten Hag when they had a replacement lined up, but ultimately enough is enough, said Sam C. So, United showed interest in Nagelsmann. They were only looking to replace Ten Hag if they had someone lined up, but enough is enough for Ten Hag. They've got to sack him. They've got to give it to Ruud. They're going to look at someone else. They're going to try their luck with Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann, Thomas Frank and Ruben Amorim are on the names that INEOS are considering to replace Ten Hag with, and Nagelsmann, according to TalkSport, is open to replacing Ten Hag as manager. Now, there's no doubt in my mind from information I've heard from credible people that I trust that INEOS would like Nagelsmann. I truly believe that. The question is, will Nagelsmann want United? Now, TalkSport is saying Nagelsmann is open to replacing Erik ten Hag as Man United manager. There is sources and reports coming out that Nagelsmann is open to that job. He'd like the United job despite rejecting us in the summer. But those sources are TalkSport. Those sources aren't Fabrizio Romano. Those sources aren't David Ornstein. Those sources are TalkSport. So I would say take with a pinch of salt as well. Alice, if you could take the United job, would you take it? No, because I've got no managerial experience and I don't think I'd be much better than Ten Hag. You know, I think, like, I sit there and I think Ten Hag's doing this and this and this and this and this that's wrong, and why isn't he doing this, this and this? But ultimately, I've never managed a football club before. I have no experience whatsoever. If I got the Man United job, I probably wouldn't be good. I could tell a coach my thoughts, and maybe a coach could do that for me. Maybe it'd be a bit better, but I wouldn't be taking the Man United job if I got offered it. I don't think you'd want me. I think you'd all be Alice out. You'd all be Alice out, and then I'd be giving my interviews like Ten Hag. Well, we're going to make progress like we did last season. We're going to move from 14th to 8th. Nah, that wouldn't go well. Hi, Alice. Nagelsmann for me because of his vast experience with youth and shared club ownership. I really like Nagelsmann, and that's good points. My only fear about Nagelsmann is the system he plays is so different to the systems that we've played at United in terms of formation, in terms of style, that the amount of players that we'd have to get in and out again and the amount of spending we do is difficult because he plays very different. He can play more like Rangnick did, and when Rangnick came in and tried to play his way, it just failed miserably. So we'd have to do a massive overhaul to make it work under Nagelsmann, and he would need considerable backing. But considering what we're trying right now, it was so bad, maybe we need to try something that is the polar opposite as well. Alice, give Ten Hag a 10-year contract extension. Absolutely not. We can't get a contract extension now. He's been sacked. Guys, please do hit the like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We've got 850 people watching right now, so if we can hit 400 likes, that would be greatly appreciated. We're also 11 subscribers away from 95.6k, so if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I go live every single evening, keeping you guys up to date on all the latest Manchester United updates and more. But not just Nagelsmann, I want to talk about some other news on Manchester United's plans going forward. We're going to talk about Thomas Frank, we're going to talk about Amorim, we're going to talk about everyone that's been linked to United. But this was said, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has underlined that Manchester United will pay for a new manager if required, so approaching an in-work candidate is not an issue to them. So Graham Bailey has come out and said even if they're working, Man United are more than willing to pay to bring someone in mid-season, is what's been said. It was also said that United have been drawing up a contingency plan in recent weeks, and a list of around 5 managers has been considered. Ruben Amorim's interim will give the board time to go through this appointment process. So Manchester United have apparently got 5 managers' names written down that they'd like to come in and replace Ten Hag with. They're willing to do that midway through the season, and they're happy to give Ruben Amorim 2, 3, 4 games until United can decide upon that manager, or maybe ask that manager, someone like Nagelsmann, try and draw him to United and attract him to the United job as well. Alice, do you think we'll get a new manager in soon? I don't think we'll have a new manager in ahead of the Leicester game, because that's Wednesday. I think Van Nistelrooy will do that. I think the Chelsea game potentially, but I don't know if it'll be that quick. I think we're looking at the next Premier League game, which is Leicester. I think Ruben Van Nistelrooy gets 2 to 3 games, like Carrick did. I think we'll see Ruben Van Nistelrooy for 2 to 3 games as well. I don't see Julian as Man United manager, not a few months before the World Cup. Why would he leave Germany? And that's the question. From what I've been told, we really like Nagelsmann. Man United really like Nagelsmann from what I've been told. But I think Man United themselves are going to try a punt with Nagelsmann. But ultimately, I don't think we'll get him. What's your thoughts on this Vinicius Junior thing? Because loads of people are coming out writing how angry they are that Vinny didn't win the Ballon d'Or. Richarlison said if Vinny doesn't win it, I'm going to, things is going to go down. Apparently Vinicius Junior has been told he's not going to win the Ballon d'Or, so now he's refusing to turn up to the ceremony. I mean, I think Vinicius Junior and Rodri were worthy winners. And I don't like Man City, but I think, to lose out on the Ballon d'Or to Rodri, I think, Rodri's in a position that doesn't win the Ballon d'Or as much. It always goes to the attackers. I don't get this outrage by Vinny Jr. that he's not won the Ballon d'Or, and how Real Madrid is so angry Vinny didn't win the Ballon d'Or that they're now not going to the ceremony. I just think that's weird and disrespectful behaviour, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it just shows salt. Like, if Ronaldo had refused to go because Messi won, Ronaldo never did that. I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird behaviour that they're so outraged that Rodri's won over Vinny, and people are losing their minds over it. I don't like Man City. I don't like Rodri, But I don't know what your thoughts are on the Ballon d'Or. I know it's a bit off topic, but I think Rodri ultimately deserved it as well. I think if Vinny Jr. won it, you can't complain. But I'm just going to say this now. Marcus Rashford's stats in Ten Hag's first season are a lot better than Vinny Jr.'s stats last year. And Rashford wasn't even nominated for the Ballon d'Or that year. And I'm not saying it's all about stats, but I think Rodri won the league. He won the Champions League the season before, which obviously was the season before. He won the Euros. I think Rodri deserved it. I don't get why Vinny's losing his mind and some Real Madrid players and Brazilian players are fuming Vinny didn't win it. I think that just screams salt. So what? Vinny didn't win it. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, no one's really took the Ballon d'Or that. I didn't realise people took the Ballon d'Or that seriously. I really, really don't. But apparently it's Rodri first, Vinicius Jr. second, Bellingham third. But I didn't realise people took it that crazy serious. Like everyone knows. For me, in my opinion, the Ballon d'Or rankings are so shite. And they have been for ages. It's a popularity contest. So yeah. Lisandro Martinez and a few players have come out and said some messages about Ten Hag. So we're going to get into them, those messages from the players, and then I want to get into some news on Amorim and Thomas Frank as well. But anyway, this is what's been said here. It's been said, Lisandro Martinez Instagram, "Thank you for the trust you placed on me, coach. It's not the ending we hoped for, but we're really feeling it. It's because responsibility is always shared. But we hold on to great memories of our Wembley and your passion for United. Good luck and every success in the future." I think that's a really nice message from Lisandro Martinez. Because I think at the end of the day, whether you're a player and you wanted the manager to go or not, I think their response speaks volumes. I think the fact that Lisandro Martinez is saying, it's not just you, it was us as well. We could have done better. That speaks of his character. We've never questioned Lisandro Martinez's character. And the fact that he comes out and says, good luck, boss, la da la. Says it all, Garnacho coming out saying, thanking the boss. And then you've got David De Gea coming out, celebrating Ten Hag being sacked, which, if I'm going to be honest, is weird behaviour because, Ten Hag was sacked and no big club went for De Gea. De Gea was a good keeper. Replacing De Gea wasn't a priority, but he had limitations on him. If De Gea was so good, why did no big clubs go for him for a year? Why did no big clubs go for him for a year? I felt it was a bit petty from David De Gea, to be honest, tweeting out those things. I did. Højlund obviously thanked Ten Hag. The players whose mentality you don't question, the Højlunds, the Lisandro Martinez, the Garnachos, who's, I know he's missed a few sitters, but he really tries Garnacho on a Ten Hag. They're the ones, coming out, thanking Ten Hag, wishing him the best of luck. And I think two elements of that speak volume. Florian Wirtz, 12th in the Ballon d'Or. I didn't know the Ballon d'Or ceremony was tonight, actually, as well. The new manager will get rid of Rashford. I really don't think he will. I think, the new manager will come in and I think Rashford could shine under him. But if it's Nagelsmann, maybe, because Nagelsmann doesn't use those type of players. It depends who the new manager is. There's certain managers that Rashford wouldn't suit. But I tell you what, the new manager comes in, and I think most new managers would like Rashford. I think the players that could be worried under new managers are sort of, I don't want to say names. Look, I think Anthony's done. I just don't. I think Mason Mount could be in trouble under a new manager. Because I think Mason Mount's a good player, but Ten Hag, the only reason we got him is because Ten Hag really wanted him for a system and everything. And while he's not fit, I think Mason Mount's in trouble. I think Anthony's in trouble. I think Lindelof will just go anyway. Eriksen and Casemiro will probably go anyway. I think we plan to sell them. There's a couple of players that I think will be in trouble, but it massively depends on the manager. I think Mason Mount's the big question mark because that was a real manager signing for Ten Hag's system. Where do we find Mason Mount? That'll be one. I think Nagelsmann's different. If we have Nagelsmann, at least he would have worked with De Ligt and Masraoui before. I don't know what his relationship was like with them, to be honest, but we've got over 1,000 people watching, guys, so please do hit the like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Inzaghi, Zidane, Amorim, Nagelsmann, Xavi. Zidane and Inzaghi apparently don't speak English or want the Manchester United job. Nagelsmann may not take it because it's focused on Germany. Xavi, I don't know if I really want Xavi. And, yeah, that would leave us with Amorim, who's got, that's got a few question marks about it as well. Give it to Gary Neville, I'd rather not. De Gea was being very salty today, wasn't he? But apparently Ronaldo didn't say anything. It'll be interesting to see what Sancho says because I think Sancho had to leave United whether Ten Hag was here or not. But obviously Sancho is out on loan. It'll be interesting to hear his thoughts. Anyway, continuing on, let's talk about Ruben Amorim. This was said by Michael Plant. Ruben Amorim ticks more boxes on INEOS checklist than any other possible candidate. He's a strong contender. His age, ability to work within a club hierarchy, and recent track record are seen as attractive qualities for United. That's what's been said by Michael Plant. Now, the information I heard was Amorim costly, but could be the most realistic. What I've heard was they'd like Nagelsmann, they don't think they're going to get him. They like Amorim more than they like Xavi. And if they think they could get Amorim mid-season, they might go for it. They also like Thomas Frank, but they have a few question marks over what his ceiling is as a manager. But this will be interesting as well. Amorim. One thing about Amorim is we know we'll play Agate. Agate was so good under Amorim. Amorim plays a back three. United don't have the players for a system. What we do, we just don't have enough fit defenders. Like the way I see it is with sort of Amorim. Now, I did a video on Amorim and how he'd set up Liverpool when we all thought he was going to go to Liverpool. And if I can find my notes from that, this is how Amorim would set up. Now, this is in relation to Liverpool, but we can obviously put it in relation to United because I did a video on my second channel about how I thought Amorim would set up Liverpool. I generally think Amorim could work at United. I'm going to explain this here. So this is how Amorim sets up his team, yeah? And obviously, he likes to play a complete striker, a shadow striker, and a right forward. So all I'm saying or a left forward. But all I'm saying right now, because we can reverse the left and the right here. But what I'm saying right now is Højlund, Xerxes, Rashford. A deep left winger, I think, could be Garnacho because of his work rate, or weirdly Anthony. Yeah. Or it'd be a deep right winger. So an 8-6, which would be Agate, obviously the 6. He kind of likes a right back that gets bombs forward, a right centre back, a central centre back, left centre back. The way I see it under Amorim, and if he come in, would be Euro would be the right centre back, the central centre back would be De Ligt, and the left centre back / left back would be, of course, Martinez. I think there'd be Agate in the 6. I think the number 8 would be Maino. And then there's a big question mark about Bruno. I think Bruno, Xerxes, Mount would compete for the shadow striker role. I think Garnacho would be seen as sort of the deeper winger. And I think it would be Rashford or Ahmad and Højlund up top. I think would probably Dalot right back. I mean, that would be my guess if Amorim came in, because that's how he sort of sets up a little bit as well. De Ligt, Euro, Martinez. It could work, but it's a difficult one with the profile of players we have. He would probably, I think, if he came to United, I'm being totally honest, I think he would adjust something like this. So, because obviously I did this in relation to Liverpool, and we played the same formation as Liverpool. I think Amorim could adjust his first season to sort of suit the profiles we have. So I think you'd see Højlund. I think you'd see maybe Garnacho because he can play a bit deeper, or maybe Rashford and then a Garnacho or Anthony or someone could be a deeper right winger, or Ahmad. I think you'd see he likes sort of a second striker, so I think you could see Bruno, Mount, Ahmad, Xerxes there. I think you see Maino and Agate in the pivot. I think you'd see Litra, potentially left centre back, left back, Euro, De Ligt, Dalot maybe. It'll be interesting to see what he would do, but again, I mean, no way you mentioned Anthony. I'm just saying profile-wise. I think he's probably done, but that's just based off what I did. That was just based off what I knew about Amorim when I was doing it in relation to Liverpool, but I don't think he would come in and maybe play 3 at the back. I think it's definitely a risk. I think we are set up to play 4 at the back. We did almost bring Inacio in, and we brought Agate, and we do like some Amorim type players. But yeah, I can't see that happening. Alice, Thomas Frank spoke about the job. Well, Thomas Frank, of course, was going to be asked about it, but he didn't say much. He was just being really as respectful as he could be as well. Yeah. So let's continue on into the next news. Let's continue on into some more stories, because there's a lot of news, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot going on to get through. But I have, I could do one for, do you guys want to see a video? Do you guys want to see a video about the manager candidates? So Thomas Frank, Amorim, Nagelsmann, and Xavi. And I could do a video maybe tomorrow, and I could go for each manager, and I could say, if they came in as interim, this is how I believe they'd set up the Man United squad. So like I just done with Amorim a few minutes ago, how he plays, I'd say how Amorim plays, how he may use us, but how he could adapt to use us to suit us more now because he's coming in mid-season. Would you want me to do that with not just Amorim, but with not Tuchel, with Nagelsmann, with Xavi, with Thomas Frank. Would you like me to do a video maybe like that? Okay, everyone's saying yes. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a video tomorrow on like each Man United manager and how they could set us up. I'll probably do that. I could also do one how Ruben Amorim could set us up. If you want to see that as well. But let's continue on. Actually, I'm going to write that in my notes. Quickly. How Rude will set up Man United. So tonight, if I get time, I'll do a video on how Van Nistelrooy will set up Man United, because obviously he's going to play us for the Leicester game. Tomorrow, I've just wrote in my notes, I'll do a video on Amorim, Thomas Frank, Xavi, whoever we get linked to tomorrow, Nagelsmann, how they set us up, the long-term managers, because I think that'll be interesting. But let's dive into some more news. Let's dive into more stories. So, when Amorim was asked about the United job, he said this: in the last hour, I was obviously really expecting this question. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the future because otherwise I'll have to comment. I'm very proud to be sporting coach. That's all. What managers do is, when they're open to the Man United job, but they haven't got the Man United job, they'll just say, I'm happy where I am. I'm happy where I am. Blah, 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 blah. Thomas Frank. Ruben Amorim, Thomas Frank and Nagelsmann are the top names being spoken about for the United job, according to Sky. Thomas Frank is known to have admirers among the United hierarchy. Xavi is believed to have talks about the move and has a close relationship with Barada from the time of the new camp. And Xavi's idea is always to take a sabbatical year before starting a new project. Xavi is apparently open to the United role. Thomas Frank and Amorim are open to United role. United want Nagelsmann. Some sources say he's open, but they're not the most reliable sources. We were also linked to Ange Postecoglou, Southgate and Graham Potter today, but they were not by the most reliable sources. We've also been linked to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Manchester United have not ruled out a formal approach for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer amid the possibility they could be restricted to managerial free agents. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is under consideration for a return to United. It's unclear if United view him as a serious long-term option manager or backroom staff. I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're going to bring Solskjaer back. There's a lot of rumours about Ole this, there's a lot of rumours about Ole that. I don't see Solskjaer being brought back to United. Maybe as someone that works as a member of staff, but not as manager. I don't see him coming back as manager as well. Some players are expecting Ruud van Nistelrooy to become permanent manager, according to Sky Kavanagh. Man United really like Nagelsmann, but would be complicated to get him. Erik ten Hag wasn't expecting to be sacked. He was shocked by the timing, according to Sky Sports as well, just come out now. There's a lot of news stories that have just come out now that I'm going to read out to you guys as well. Someone said, why is Rashford getting another season under another manager? If Rashford didn't score those goals in Ten Hag's first season, Ten Hag wouldn't have had a second season, let's be honest. Gareth Southgate is liked by INEOS, apparently. Great. Amorim, Frank and Nagelsmann are the favourite three names that United like, is what's been said as well. Garnacho says he's always grateful for the opportunity to play under Ten Hag and comes out with a message. Apparently, Thomas Frank is a very highly likely chance. Apparently, INEOS will want Ruud van Nistelrooy to be in charge for the next few games and will assess him before bringing in the permanent, according to some sources. And apparently, according to Florian Plettenberg, Amorim doesn't want to leave mid-season as well. Apparently, United looked at Enzo Maresca in the summer but decided not to go for him. And apparently, according to the Muppeteers, they do like Ange Postecoglou as well. So there's a few interesting stories whispering about here. Which manager would you prefer or fit good to manage the current players and bring the best out the style of play according to their play style? That's a difficult one because Nagelsmann's my first choice, but there's a lot of work. Alonso, there'd be a lot of work. Amorim, there'd be a lot of work. I think if you thought short term, Tuchel, you think could do a short term job, but he wasn't my long term pick. This is a very difficult one because a lot of managers are playing free at the back. I think we are sort of a 4-2-3-1 kind of side if we want to bring the best out of our players. Flick would have been a good one. Have I missed a super chat? Did I read that one out? Who do you think will be the new manager this season? Or have they I think I read that out. Which manager would you prefer or fit good to manage the current? It's very difficult when you look at it because there's a lot of managers I like. Do you know what? I think Jurgen Klopp would be very good at United in terms of how we want to play. I think a lot of the players we recruited would suit it, but it's not going to come to United. So that's a very difficult question to answer. And in terms of sort of the candidates, Nagelsmann's my favourite, but I think he has a lot of work for Nagelsmann to make it work. I think, yeah, all the managers we've been linked to, I think they can do a better job than Ten Hag, but I don't know if anyone comes in and gets us playing amazing stuff. I think Tuchel was the short term. Nagelsmann or Flick would have been the long term. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not interested in bringing Ollie back or anything like that as well. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ruud van Nistelrooy is only expected to get a couple of games. I think Hoeneß. I think if I was going to say someone, I'd say Sebastian Hoeneß, I think could do the best with this current side. Anyway, let's talk about a couple of other news stories and rumours going about. There was no training today after Erik ten Hag left. The players are scheduled to train under Ruben van Nistelrooy on Tuesday, according to Rob Dawson of ESPN. So no training today after ten Hag left. The players are scheduled to train under Ruben van Nistelrooy on Tuesday. They said the players were told about Ten Hag's sacking at the same time as the initial official announcement this morning, making sure none of them will leak it, I guess. Ten Hag's authority waned over the summer, partly because United finished 8th, but also because INEOS met candidates to replace him. The players don't listen to him anymore, one locker room insider said. I think they knew that Ten Hag was so close to being sacked. I do think he lost elements of that. Some players and staff were relieved that they had been disconnected with Ten Hag's recent choices and felt he was giving special treatment to certain players, aka, I reckon that's someone from Ahmed's side briefing that, because Ahmed got treated badly as well. But some players were apparently relieved at Ten Hag's sacking. You can imagine that. I don't think they're all giving 100% for Ten Hag. I think there were players that definitely wanted Ten Hag gone. But listen, people, that is a roundup of all the latest United news. My plan is to do a video on how Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to set us up versus Leicester. My plan is to also do a video tomorrow or Wednesday about the managerial candidates and how they'd set us up. I will also do news updates, live shows, and more. So make sure you subscribe if you have not already. Share the video, and I will be back maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow. But if you're interested in videos on who's going to come in next and how they're going to set us up, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. We got everyone in the chat. Bye.